How are you guys doing? Had to get my coffee on. This is Jeremiah Nickel from Kansas City. I'm making an unlisted video. I'm sharing it on Ethtrader for probably a day or two, and I'll probably pull it down and delete the video off YouTube. So whatever, if you want to screen capture or whatever, not a big deal. Just got to talk a little bit about something that happened yesterday on Ethtrader, and something that I'm very passionate about when I've been talking about this sub. Since it was less than 500 people, I've been in there, and yes, I post a lot of crap, try to be funny, try to be community minded or whatever, but I've always said one thing: any of you guys are struggling, get a hold of me. All right. And now we have almost 200,000 people, and so obviously I want to try our best to help one another out. And yesterday was phenomenal. There's a Redditor. Well, his name's not a big deal right now. That Byron, another friend of mine, and I noticed in 2016. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, was having trouble typing coherent sentences in the sub, which some of you guys don't post coherent sentences, including myself, from time to time, but this was clearly like, hey bud, what's up, and shot him a PM, and he came back and he's like, I'm feeling kind of sick, and ended up, I paged my buddy Byron to come take a look at him. We talked on the phone, actually. I won't tell what Byron does in the real world, but I knew he was a suitable person to help me help this Redditor out. And we got that situation resolved, and he was fine. And then yesterday on Ethtrader, somebody that's a member in that sub brought to my attention, and then a couple other people brought, hey, what's up with this guy? Does anybody know who he is? And since I'm a mod on Ethtrader, I was like, I'll do a distinguished post, but I wasn't sure as a moderator if we should stick here, do all that. But anyway, I made a distinguished post. Hey, does anybody know this Redditor in person? Because he posted a checkout note on Ethtrader and says that he's taking a cocktail of drugs. And somebody came back. Now, somebody came back and said, yes, I know him in real life, and I'm trying to get a hold of him now. And I got a hold of his girlfriend, his parents, and I believe maybe even the police. Now, this isn't an issue of me. This is an issue of us being proactive in helping people out. With 200,000 people here and 500,000 people in cryptocurrency, subreddit, and however many in Bitcoin, or just really anywhere on Reddit, guys, if you have the ability to see some change in the world and be proactive rather than sit back and be a spectator and watch people die, then do the right thing, right? I'd rather blow up a hoax than not try anything at all. Well, it turns out yesterday was no hoax, and I'm hoping to get some more details today, but it doesn't really matter. I think this Redditor did in fact get picked up by his girlfriend or his parents. Somehow he's in a safer place, and he's fortunately with us, so we're not dealing with a suicide. And yesterday was especially tough for me because I was really tight on time to help this person out, but I'll stop anything I'm doing and try my best, when it comes to drug addiction or suicide. For the simple fact that yesterday I was attending a funeral after doing a slideshow for a 33-year-old man who committed suicide, who was married to my niece by marriage. Okay, so I'll be honest. In my history, in my extended family, and there's some economically depressed area of Kansas that I grew up in, I can count on all my fingers and toes the amount of suicides that have been prevalent, and drug addictions have taken people's lives in this crazy world we live in. And yesterday on one hand, I'm at a funeral for a suicide. On another hand, we're trying to walk one of our own on Ethtrader off a cliff, so to speak. You know, that's damn well what we try to do, right? Because life is hard, but there's always hope. And you know, when I say that, you know, there's it's never easy. Okay, it's never easy. But in the words of my mother, this too shall pass. And I've seen things where that phrase has just come to fruition. This too shall pass. I mean, for God's sakes, man, if the guy's going to put a checkout note on Reddit, the least we could do is try to hunt him down, because he just exposed his plan. He's calling for help, or she. They're calling for help. Okay? So help. All right? You know, when I was very young, this is just from me to you. When I was very young and I was struggling big time in middle school, I had actually called the suicide prevention hotline. I did, and I talked to the person on the phone. It was a step for me to realize, you know, I knew that there was something not right, and I'm glad I made that call. You know, if anything, it just kind of was a step for me in order to progress, right? Because if you don't reach out, if you don't try to find some kind of center point, a person or a hobby or some kind of counseling, you know, don't resort to drugs and alcohol to solve your problems when you're suffering some severe depression. I mean, any leading research and common sense fool would tell you that. So this is an unlisted video. This is the second video I've made that's unlisted just for Ethtrader, because on another occasion in the past, dealing with another Redditor who, they say money brings you happiness. And this particular Redditor was very depressed. He had no way to socially interact with his friends anymore, is the way I kind of understood it, because of his unbelievable wealth. All right? Who would have thought? They say money doesn't buy you happiness. It can buy you a hell of a lot of therapy if you need it. And that Redditor is still with us. Actually, it canceled their account, deleted their account, disappeared for a long time, and then came back with another username. So I'm very glad that they're still contributing. And you know, there's almost 200,000 traders in here, and we gotta lift each other up. This is a community. Some of you, I think it's a community. Some people think it's just, you know, memes and shit posts and whatnot, and they're not wrong. But there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot of old school people there that know exactly where we were when we were under 1,000. And as a moderator, I still want to believe that we can still foster a caring environment for people when they're most in need. And most importantly, I mean, I'm making this video and I know I'm opening myself up, but that's what we're supposed to do as humans. If the time is right for you to say it, then say it. Yesterday, I mean, you know, I was just another participant yesterday trying to help this individual on Reddit, and I'm also helping out my family with dealing with this massively traumatic situation unfolding, and with no good, clear path forward, honestly. For some of the folks in my family, they're going to have a long road of recovery, but I still feel like we could do it. What else is this life for, right? Except to help bring each other up. So I'll just, you know, moderators on Ethtrader, we're pretty light-handed. Obviously, you know, we let a lot of stuff fly. The one big thing that I do try to stick to is that when I look at usernames and what they are writing, I picture people in the same room talking. And sometimes I really, very often, I very much doubt that the conversation that we have in the daily thread or elsewhere would actually resolve in that way in the real world in the same room. There's something that disconnects the human element when we're sitting behind a computer screen. Imagine for a second that you're not when you're interacting with people. That's just my philosophy, right? You guys do what you do. I'll do what I do. Other than that, if somebody's struggling and it does, it appears to be real, well, let's just treat it as though it is real and, apologize later if it's a bad hoax. But in this situation, you done good, Ethtrader. And it's such a small world. It's just such a small world. I mean, literally within half an hour of sharing the thread about this individual, another individual is like, hey, I know that person in real life. Wow, 7 billion people on the planet, less than 200,000 people on Ethtrader. Think about those numbers. We found the person, right? So it's worth the shot every time if you can affect change to give it a whirl. All right. Big hugs from Kansas City. Thanks, Ethtrader, for doing what you did yesterday. Everything is great in my life, to be honest. I pain for my extended family, and I'm gonna do everything I can for them. All right, be good, man. Take care.